Welcome to the KX Country Clubhouse. I'm Derm from KX 94.7, and joining us today in the Clubhouse, we welcome from the West Coast, it's Aaron Prichett. Aaron.
Hey, Derm. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, you know what? I'm fresh off of a little surgery that I had the other day. As you can probably tell, I have a little thing on my nose and under my eye. I didn't fall off a skateboard or anything like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but I'm healthy. Things are great.
Good. How has summer been going? COVID-19, how's that going with you and those around you that you love?
Well, everybody's safe and healthy so far. I mean, there is this surge that's happening again. So, you're always worried about it. I mean, you don't really want to catch this thing, obviously, and or pass it on to anyone if you do get it. But things have been crazy. When the first pandemic was announced and happening, it kind of freaked me out, I have to admit. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a paranoid person normally at all, but it made me, a little more in tune with what life is like. Anything can happen, and anything was happening. So I did kind of go into protective mode, did hunker down for a little while, but I created a bunch of things in the meantime too that helped me get by, for myself, but also help other people get by at the same time.
And when the pandemic news did come down, concerts weren't canceled yet, shows weren't canceled yet. That came along. And how did that affect you as far as your livelihood is concerned? What did Aaron Prichett think? Oh no, I'm not going to play any concerts this spring and or summer, or maybe for the rest of the year.
Yeah, as those concerts and events were being canceled and postponed to next year, so everything's postponed to 2021, everything I had on the books, which was a good feeling, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do for the rest of this year? How am I going to generate any income? And luckily, I have to admit, I did keep something of mine that I was hoping for just in case of a rainy day or a pandemic was going to happen. And that was my personal royalties for performance. So I still get my royalties for performance, which is good. And really, it is my bread and butter. And in times like this, it's really the only thing that can keep me afloat. I mean, I don't want to rely on the government. I don't want to rely on banks because, you'll just end up owing much more in the long run. So thankfully, I do have a source of income. But then there's little gigs here and there that I have that are private things. Like the strangest thing was I went on a Zoom call as well with a buddy of mine's company. He owns a pool company. And they paid me a couple of bucks just to get on and be there for their morning. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning meeting that they had, Zoom meeting. And I played a couple songs for them to start the day off. And they said it was just an unbelievable way to start off the day to have somebody singing to them. So that was nice. And it made a couple extra bucks too, which was good.
That's great. It was 18 years ago that you released Consider This.
Yeah.
18 years, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks, Derm. Thanks. Thanks for the reminder.
But we're still going.
Yeah, I can't stop. And I can't do anything else. I mean, this is all I do for a living, and this is all I've done for a living for over 30 years. And I played in the clubs for a long time. I DJ'd at a country bar, and I've laid carpet. I've done everything except the one thing that I love playing the most is to crowds all over the country and releasing music to radio. So I mean, eventually it will come to an end, and I'm okay with that. It does have to happen. Hockey players eventually hang up their skates, and I'll have to do the same at some point. The beautiful thing was I did get to hoist my Stanley Cup, which we might talk about later. But I can't believe my first single actually ever was a song without a video called Heart Like a Hurricane. That came out April 14th, 2000. So 20 years ago, over 20 years ago now, I released my first single to radio and had my first hit with Consider This in 2002. And man, I just can't stop. I love doing it, and I can't see doing anything else in my entire life except maybe retiring and just sitting in a backyard.
What I think is pretty cool, I think kudos to you. 18
Thank you.
years ago, from since the release of Consider This, so many artists don't last 4 or 5 years. So,
Yeah.
and it was 16 years. Your very first number one, Better When I Do, was in 2018. So 16 years to get. There was chart successes, but to get that first number one, 16 years. That's slugging away and believing in yourself and keeping on doing what you do best.
Well, you know what? The thing was is that it wasn't. I didn't have a lot of confidence in my career between 2010 and 2015, and people said, my friends, family, everybody was saying, "You can't stop doing this. You're not done yet. This is definitely. There's more still to go in your career." And I had a hard time believing that. And once I changed producers, I started working with Scott Cook, who everybody probably knows was Dallas Smith's bass player for a long time, but he's also a producer and an engineer. And he said, I really want to help you get your career back on track. And he was a huge part of the resurgence, I like to call it, resurgence of my career, because I don't think I went away too far. It wasn't a resurrection or, a comeback story, I would say. It was just, it took it from kind of this level that was here going down, and then boom, hit in 2016 with Dirt Road In 'Em, went to top 10. It was my first top 10 in a long time, almost 10 years, I think. And then, then we consistently had hits after that with Worth a Shot, Mama's Boy Meets a Daddy's Girl, and then with Better When I Do. And yeah, it's just, it's a nice feeling to be able, I always say that, I was lucky enough to be one of the 1% of whoever in Canada wants to do this as a career and become a known name across the country. But I think I'm 1% of the 1% who gets to do it again and have a second go at it. And at my age, I'm turning 50 in a couple days, actually. You can't help but get older, as you know. I mean, you're in your late 30s now, so as you know. And the thing is that I don't lose any spirit and age in my heart and in my mind, and I just got to keep going. So I try and keep up with the music that's happening. I enjoy doing it, and my thing is I got to keep music on the radio, hopefully, if I can, and use that as basically a business card, as I call it, to get people out to the shows. And it's continuing on, which is great.
And you're right, 50 is just a number, as long as you got the passion and those good feelings and good vibes in your heart. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not a lot of artists get to put out a greatest hits album.
Well, here's the coolest thing too, is that I did put out the greatest hits album, but now I wasn't able to put a bunch of songs on there that I'd had as radio hits, I guess. And now with the new hits that I've had, I could have a volume 2, which is insane.
When you're going to get back out on the road and the live touring scene comes back in 2021, putting together a set list, is that going to be more fun? Is it going to be, are you going to do some new stuff? Are you going to do cover hits? Are you going to kind of have this model that you've been on the road and set list and all that for, say, the last 5 or 6 years? Are you going to shake things up and say, okay, 2021, it's been dark for a year. Let's go just let's go make this epic.
The great thing is so far is that with restrictions easing here in British Columbia, I've actually done a few performances. I had a thing this weekend in Victoria, near Victoria in Sydney, and I played 4 shows in 4 nights, did a residency, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and got to play a 90-minute set. What the funny thing was is that it was billed as a 75-minute to 90-minute set. And every night I went over because there are so many songs. Plus I like to talk. So, I mean, that helps. But at the same time, I couldn't even get through half of all the songs that I should be having in a set list, and then some. So, yeah, it's when 2021 comes around, I get to do the full band set list. Like, that was acoustic with a couple of players and myself. But when we get to do the full band set list and it's live and I'm running around on stage and hopefully playing to the thousands of people that we've gotten to over the years and more, Yeah, the set list is it's tough to pick out what can't make the cut. And because singles are still, doing so well and picking up a lot of speed over time, and even some are getting more popular after the fact, which is crazy. Like Worth a Shot has been streamed, I think some crazy number, which for me is like, wow, that's awesome. So I've got to put that, it depends on where I put it in the set list now, because it is a very popular song. So instead of putting it halfway through the set, it's got to go near the end because people are waiting to hear that song. So I can't wait to get out there and actually play these tunes for everyone, and then be able to make sure that, I put them in the right list. That's for sure. And then maybe we get an encore so then I can play some of the other ones.
Yeah, artists are getting anxious to get back on the road, and fans are getting anxious to get back out to shows. So I think next year is going to be pretty awesome as far as the live concert experience is concerned for everybody that is involved. We're getting back to hockey in a week. You got your Canucks jersey pressed and ready to go?
I sure do. I have several. Yeah, I'm a massive hockey fan. I've always said that hockey is the thing that flows through my veins the most. Other than the love for my kids, this is honestly my first passion, and my first true love that I ever experienced was hockey, playing hockey. And listening to the Canucks on a little transistor radio under my pillow when I was a kid, and always got in trouble for it, but I had to listen to the games. So to be without hockey because it's just taken away from you, basically, and from anyone who's a hockey fan, they understand, and anybody who plays hockey, and especially the NHLers, it's the worst feeling in the world, because there's no at that time there was no future in hockey. Who knew when it was going to come back? So now I'm so excited that they're playing the Minnesota. I was going to say the Minnesota North Stars, the Minnesota Wild, obviously, in their play-in round. Hopefully they make through that in the best of 5, and then who knows? I shaved yesterday, cleaned down, and I'm going to start my playoff beard. So hopefully they make it deep, and I might have something big and bushy like your hair, but on my chin.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for your Canucks and your beard to have a very fun and healthy summer run. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us in the Clubhouse today. Continue to stay safe, and good luck to your Canucks, and can't wait for you to be back in KX country in 2021. Make sure you come by and see us.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Stay healthy and wash your hands. Keep your distance. Thanks, buddy. Nice to see you.
You too. Thanks, Aaron.